CAGED is a great way to find different ways to play the same chord. Or rather, it's a great way to find different chord shapes across the entire neck to play the same chord without having to know every single note on the neck. It isn't perfect, but it is quite easy to understand once you've grasped a basic understanding of it, so it's quite good for beginners. So first, let's establish the difference between a chord and a chord shape. A chord is an arrangement of notes that should sound good together or work well together to make a nice sound. So this is a chord, this is a chord, this is a chord, this is a chord. Everything with multiple notes that work together is a chord. And a chord shape is a shape that we make with our hand to get said chord. So this is a G major chord shape. This is a E major chord shape. C major chord shape. C7 chord shape. So they're all chord shapes. It's a shape that we make with our hand to get the chord it's related to. And if you couldn't tell already, the spelling of CAGED relates to 5 major chords, C, A, G, E, and D major. So if we imagine that the nut, this bit of the guitar here, is fret 0, we can imagine there's a capo or we're barring on fret 0, and we want to find 5 chord shapes or 5 different places to play the chord C, C major. So we're going to start with the first chord shape, which is this, a C. So we have C major, the open chord, and that is the C major shape that we're going to be using. So we can imagine there's a capo or a barring on fret 0, so we have open strings, C major. This is the root here on the 3rd fret of the A string. That's a C. And then if we want to find another position for the C major, we take the root, C, 3rd fret of the A, and then we apply the next chord shape of the next letter of CAGED. So C, A, CAGED. That's a C chord, C major chord. So all we've done there is we've taken the A major chord using the A major shape, open A, and we've moved it up. So we keep imagining this is fret 0. We move the shape up 1. We move the fret, we move the capo or the bar up 1 fret. So imagining we're barring like that on the nut. Okay? We move it up once. The bar or capo moves up once. And we keep moving up until we have C as our root. That is now a C major. So now we have C, C shape, A shape. So now we're going to move on to the next letter of CAGED, G. So we have G major using the G shape. We're going to move it up until we find C, being the root. There it is. 8th fret on the E string. That's a C. But because we've moved the shape up, we need to move the bar or the capo up as well. Now you'll notice that might be really horrendous. So that would look like this. And obviously I can't play on the high E. So what we're going to do instead, because these are both E strings, we know that, these are both Cs. So instead of the root, which is C, whenever I refer to the root, it's going to be a C in this case. So the root is C. So because the root is C, this is also the root. We're just going to take the root and have the bar. So all we've done there is taken the top or the low 2 strings off so we can play it properly. And this is the typical way you're going to play a C major using the G shape. So now we have C using the C shape, C using the A shape, and then C using the G shape. Could play like this. That's quite nice. But usually, again, it's usually play like this. Okay? Now we have the E of CAGED. E major, open chord, using the E major shape. Move it up till we have C as the root. So we have E as the root, C as the root, which is again on the 8th fret. And that is a C major using the E major shape. And this is kind of your typical bar chord shape for a major, because it's the easiest. So yeah, we have C as the root, E major shape, barring everything. Now we have the last letter of CAGED, which is D. So this is a D chord using D shape. Okay? And this is obviously a D in the bass. So now we need to find the root C, which will be on the D string. Because we know on the E string, C is here on the 8th fret, we can do an octave, and that's our C. That's our root. Now we apply the shape, and a C, C major. And we can check that this is true by using octaves. So we have obviously this. We know this is definitely a C. This is a cool little trick you could do. So we can use octaves. Obviously we have the root C. Then we have, it would be here. Then we have this one. And this one. And then you'll notice we have that shape. C major using the D shape. And then we return back to C just on the 15th fret. So C, shape, with the bar. Okay? C major. 6 positions for C major. And obviously you can keep going, but it's pretty much exactly the same from here to here. Translating it is the same. So all 6 positions for C, open chord, C shape, A shape, D shape, G shape, E shape, and then the D shape, which is, my hands are very cold. So yeah, that's 6 positions for C. Oh, now it's 6 positions for C. 6 positions for C using CAGED. We'll do another one for G in a minute, but if we look at these chords, we can find where they relate. So obviously, we have these notes in the open chord. Now we can look at what's in the next chord that relates. This note. And then, that's our A shape. And then what's in this chord for the next chord. So they're the same notes. 5th fret, 5th fret. Okay? And then what's in this chord, we're using the G shape, on the E shape? Well, so they all relate. We keep going. Obviously we used octaves to find the relation, but we can also go, that's the relation there. The C. Sorry. That's the relation. And then we go back to C, what's the relation there? Well, the top 3 strings, G string, B string and E string. So all these chords are related, so that's a nice way to look at the relation of, or no, that's a nice way to look at how all the chords are related and how the fretboard can be related to other things. Now we'll look at some different positions for G. So we have obviously G. What's the next letter? E. What's the root? Here. That's the G. E shape. Okay, open G. G bar chord. G major bar chord. G major. Then we have D is next. G, E, D. This is a G. Bit of a stretch, but that is a G major. Now, what's next? The C shape. Now if we look at the relation, we can find it really easily. So we just related this on the C, using the C, we just related this C major to this C major. Okay, so now we can go, we can relate this one, this G major, and find the next G major really easily without having to know what the root is. Obviously the root's here. I know that. But if we don't, take this. Okay, take this. You keep these top 3 and then add that to get the C shape. Okay? And then the A shape, well, root A. That's G major. And then we have G again. Yeah, we have G again. but obviously we don't do that because that's a pain and it can't be done properly. It's not the usual way we do it. So we keep the bar and then the root. Then we're back to G. So that's how CAGED works. It's very simple, but it can be very useful. It can be very useful for writing songs and writing chord progressions. If you enjoy this video and find it useful, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when I upload, and I will see you in the next video.